Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from today. Welcome to the Older Adults Do Meditate, a guide to contemplation with older adults webinar series presented by NBA's collaborative partner, Older Adult Ministries. My name is Brittany Tang, and I am the Senior Marketing Associate at the NBA. The NBA is the Health and Social Service Ministry partner of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and we collaborate with leaders and with health and social service organizations to strengthen and transform communities through compassion, healing, and justice. You can learn more about the NBA by visiting our website at nbacares.org. Before we begin today, I want to remind you that today's webinar is being recorded. You can turn off your camera if you like, or leave it on, but we do ask that you make sure to leave your microphone on mute during the presentation. There will be a breakout session later in the program, and at that time, we invite you to turn on your camera and microphone to join in the discussion. We will not be recording during those particular sessions. We realize that those are great conversations to have, but they will not be recorded. So we just wanted to let you know about that. That webinar recording will be posted to NBA's website and YouTube page in the next few days. We also just wanted to say really quick that the Zoom link that you used today is the same that you can use for each of the following 3 sessions, which will take place over the next 3 Wednesdays, all at the same time, noon Eastern, 11 Central. So just click on that Zoom link that you used today, and that'll bring you back for next week and the following weeks as well. So we hope that you can join us for all 4 of our sessions in this series. So at this point, I'd like to turn things over to Reverend Paul Koch, the Regional Minister for the Mid-America region, who will be leading our discussion today. Paul, over to you.
All right, well, thank you, Britt, and welcome, God's beloved. This is, I think, maybe the 3rd or 4th time Older Adult Ministries through NBA has hosted a contemplative Zoom, and I wish it could be every single week, because I've missed seeing some of these familiar faces, and welcome to those for whom have joined us for the first time. We keep growing in numbers, and that just to me speaks of the urgency of disciples gathering together in a contemplative prayer. And I'll offer a few instructions of what this hour may bring. One, we will begin with a period of Lectio Divina, which is me reading a short psalm, a couple verses from Psalm 139 after 3 times or so, just to meditate on that. And then we will be breaking into small groups, kind of breakaway groups, so everyone has a chance to share if you want. And I'd like to introduce our breakaway guides. You won't get to meet all of them, but you'll at least get to meet one of them who have agreed to help today. So Jan Airy, who I'm sure you've met before on a webinar, is with us again, and she also will be the guide next week. I'll be traveling to a spiritual retreat myself and won't be able to participate. And to Irene Albritton from, or Jan's from St. Louis, I know that, but Irene, what city are you from? Please remind. Oh,
Columbia, South Carolina.
right. She gave a wonderful introduction to Silver Chalice in my presence when I was at the regional conference gathering. So a great friend. And Walinda.
Everyone, I'm Walinda from St. Joseph, Missouri.
And Anne Marie. And you're muted, Anne Marie. That's going to be true for all of us as we wish to share and realize that the mute button was placed. So.
I'm Anna Marie, and I live in Elgin, Texas.
Well, welcome. And everyone's invited to put in the chat who you are and where you're from, if you wish, just to kind of get to know each other. But we'll certainly get to know some of us better as we will be dividing into fifths here with this great turnout that we have. So wasn't intentional, but we kind of have a theme for these next 4 devotionals. Today's begins in times of darkness. And this comes from the NBA resource on the Older Adult Ministries page of the NBA website called Looking for God Over Your Shoulder. and that's a contemplative or a guide for contemplative spirituality to share with a loved one or to leave with a loved one at a care facility or in their homes or at church, wherever you wish to do that, to help them know that, they are surrounded by the presence of the Spirit, even in times of being alone. And so these prompts kind of reflect on inner strength that exists when someone is with us, or especially when we know that Jesus is our constant companion. But these themes kind of deal with a little bit of time of vulnerability. And we're just following next in line from our previous meditation sessions, but it seems so appropriate, especially where we are in this time and place, to focus today in times of darkness or times of vulnerability or times of feeling abandoned. Because I know we're feeling it, whether we can admit it in all places or not. And to begin, I want to share a few words that I just saw last week from Brian McLaren, who's one of the guides I go to fill my spirit. And I thought what he had to say was remarkably pertinent in today's society and in today's world, and actually for me in my own spiritual practice. This is from the Center for Action and Contemplation, CAC, daily meditation. And he writes these few words about Christianity as a living tradition. He writes, to be part of a life-giving tradition brings with it a moral responsibility to make it even better as we pass it on to our future generations. And that's from his book, Engage Contemplative Christianity. And he writes further, traditions are cultural communities that carry on from generation to generation ideas and practices, what I call treasures, in which they see great enduring value. Like everything in this universe, traditions are constantly changing, even if the change occurs at a glacial pace. We have no choice as to the tradition into which we were born. And as we grow older, we must decide, is this inherited tradition life-giving or death-dealing or a mix of both? Is it an unhealthy condition right now? Is it improvable or salvageable? Does participating in it perpetuate harm? Is it time to migrate to a new spiritual tradition? And he leans this way is that we can recognize as you look on Sunday that many of our congregations are perhaps smaller in size than even a few years ago. So I invite you to hear Brian's observations that I will continue with, reflecting a voice from people that we call the Duns, voices from the Duns, those who left church to find deeper spiritual relationships often. So here's our challenge as Christians, as disciples in our congregations. What might be God calling us to do in our spiritual growth as a worshipful community? So McLaren writes, every day, more and more of us find ourselves unable to perpetuate the religious traditions in which we were raised. We have experienced them as taking more than they give, or in some cases, we fear they do more harm than good. We have made a great spiritual migration. We have left, often with tears, beloved inherited traditions we consider death-dealing and stubbornly resistant to change. If we haven't found or been found by the tradition of engaged contemplative Christianity, many of us couldn't consider ourselves Christian anymore. We would find ourselves spiritually homeless. So as we rejoice in this growing, life-giving, living tradition, we face important questions. How will we help our tradition to grow, mature, and expand its influences for good? How will we enrich and improve the tradition as it stands? How can we discern its present weaknesses, not in order to criticize and condemn the tradition, but in order to heal, strengthen, and energize it for greater fruitfulness in the future? What might the growing edges of our tradition be? So I share his words as I read them out of love, for we have a rich tradition among the Christian church disciples of Christ. But yes, meditation and contemplation is a valued and treasured part of that tradition. And you are here today because prayer is meaningful for you, and sitting with God is meaningful for you. But not everybody is at that place in our congregation. So how might God place upon us opportunities to share and to grow in faith. So I appreciate everybody being here, and let's begin our practice. So I want you to imagine, you can close your eyes during our time of reading the scripture, but imagine, a place of darkness with only a single solitary candle providing light. And I think we've been there as some of us perhaps make that our evening contemplation time, is turn off all electric lights except for a single candle. And then we realize soon that, the darkness breaks forth, that one candle indeed can illuminate much around us. But it takes time and it takes experience, it takes adjustment. And here is our Psalm 139, 11 through 12. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. Let's ponder on that for a few seconds. I invite you to listen to a key word or phrase that speaks to you. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. And if you wish, you're invited to put in the chat any word or phrase that speaks to you as we listen in silence for a third time. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, oh, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. Thank you for those responses, and thank you for those who indicated where you're from. Indeed, what joy to be represented all across this beautiful church of ours. All right, a few words about our breakout groups. As I said, we had the guides that I introduced, and each guide has been provided 8 questions, which those of you who have our contemplative book will see that they're right there, or they may come up with one on their own that relates to the scripture or to our theme in times of darkness. And we have a format just to guide everyone. I encourage you to be mindful that this is sacred listening. So I invite you to listen from the heart what someone else says, and as well speak from your heart yourself. Try to keep it personal, first person, not relating something you read or something that you heard. If you stumbling on what you might say, be spontaneous. First thought that comes to your mind is usually the one that needs to be heard. And especially as there's always limited time, be lean of speech. That's kind of a polite way to put that. Don't go down any rabbit holes or tell us a whole saga. Try to be as brief as possible, but still gets the point. And as our groups are smaller, we will create space for every person to speak. So when you speak, I invite you to refrain from addressing that prompt uh, until we're ready to move to the next one. Then you can respond to that. And the guides will invite space for everyone who wishes to contribute, to say something, to go ahead, but otherwise, you're free to pass. And just as we honor silence in this time, we will honor space for you to formulate your thought. Certainly don't try to figure out what you're going to say when someone else is sharing their thoughts. We'll allow the space for the words to come to you, but just so we know that you are complete, you may say, I'm complete, or I'm done, or I am enough. And then others, to indicate that we have listened to what they say, you could say here, which means, I am here with you, or I hear what you're saying. And that's just kind of nice. Really, it's nice to me when I know that someone indicates that they really heard what I have to say. We're not here to fix anybody. If someone, pours out a lamentation, just giving voice is healing enough. You don't need to respond to any particular person or grief that they happen to share in this forum. If you know them, you can perhaps do it later with their permission. But we're just creating a brave space for voices to be heard. We'll pause if there's any questions. I know this might be completely unfamiliar to many of you. Feel free to unmute and express your question if you have any. Otherwise, you can ask your guide too. All right. Well, it'll be familiar as we continue on. So, Britt, it's okay to break us into our 1 of 5 groups. And you can see the questions that are there in your chat. All right. I think we are all back. Welcome back, everyone. The time just went by very quickly in our group, and just appreciate everyone who contributed in different ways. So, of course, we did not have the benefit of hearing pearls of wisdom and insight from everyone in our context. So we'll do what is called a harvest round. Just to complete this sentence, I heard a person say, and then fill in something that you heard someone say that was remarkable in this time. So I heard somebody say that dwelling in the darkness brings comfort and hope and is necessary.
I heard a person say that the serenity prayer is a comfort and centering for times of darkness and craziness.
I hear you.
I heard a person say that prayer, and now I lay me down to sleep. The gift from childhood is still very much a part of that person's daily prayer experience.
I heard a person say, if a friend is worried about these present times before us today, that the promise of God remains intact, that there's going to be light in the darkness, and we are to be like Jonah and hang on to where God will send us next, to be a voice for action.
I heard a person say that along the spiritual journey, there are not periods, but there are commas.
I hear you.
I heard someone say, surely is a really good word in this passage.
Yes.
I heard someone say to meet the darkness with gratitude.
I hear you. Well, thank you all. This was so rich. Thank you to my guides, many of whom perhaps done this for the first time. They did an excellent job. I'm sure I'm seeing affirmations. Thank you. And a reminder, we'll continue next week that Jan will be leading us, Jan Airy, and she'll be following on page 12 of our book that Britt put into the chat for how you can obtain that link. When we are dependent on others, being dependent can be feel like we're in a time of darkness and isolation when we need others to help ourselves or those that we care for to make it during the day. So there'll be a lot to talk about. And guides, if you're willing, to continue next week, Jan may be reaching out if there's any special requests. But thank you. Or if you'd like to be a guide, we'll certainly welcome all leadership that comes. Just let us know. You can reach us through the NBA website as well too. And then lastly, I was sharing earlier, I feel like it's Christmas. You know how pastors, we work ahead, so I'm full in Advent and Christmas. But after this series is over in 4 weeks, please let us know of other contemplative opportunities that exist online, perhaps originating in your region or even your church. And we'll make those available so that we can continue to perhaps do Lectio during Advent using the Advent texts or other prayerful things. So we're just getting the ball started here in our older adult Silver Chalice Ministries. So, and you have made it so. So, any other closing remarks from Jan or Britt or from anyone else?
No, except we look forward to seeing you next week. And thank you.
Blessings.
Mm-hmm.